Alright guys, welcome back, and here he is, the Master Grade Freedom Gundam. Before I go ahead and continue with the review, I want to let you guys know that there is a small work in progress series of videos, and there's also an unboxing video for this model kit. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead and check those out. Before I can learn to figure out a way to put some cool little button links here on the side, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it simple and provide you guys with links to the videos down at the description box. So go ahead and check that out. So now, we've got a lot of things to cover with this model kit, lots of features to go over, and just a whole lot to cover. So let's get the show on the road, starting off with a little bit of information about the model kit. It came out in 2004 and was retailed for 3,800 Japanese yen, which is about 45-46 US dollars. I did buy this guy at a convention for $40, so, and it was kind of a steal. There was a little bit of confusion with the price tag, but all in all, I think $40 is definitely more worth. It's definitely worth, more than worth this model kit. And I guess now on to a little bit of the details. Just kind of keep this quick and simple. So, little 360 rotation from top and bottom. Very clean overall design. Very little panel lining on the body itself. You have these two panel lines on the shoulders. You have a few more in the leg areas, and then just these two areas in the skirts. Maybe a few more areas in the on the body that I'm not really going over. But I didn't really panel line every single thing because I thought that they were very well panel lined enough, just provided a little bit of light hits the kit, and I think it works out pretty well. But other than that, very little panel lining to be done. A lot of the panel lining is automatically done by default due to just part separation, so that's cool. Most of the panel lining you'll find are on the accessories and on the wings. So, like I said, very little panel lining. Also, if you choose to, underneath all this exterior, there's a lot of opportunities to highlight details and panel line details. Especially on the inner frame, there's lots of molded detail on there too. You guys will get a closer look at that in the work in progress video and unboxing video, so you guys can get an idea of what exactly I'm talking about. And yeah, there you go. That's pretty much it for the design. He does come with a sheet of foil stickers right here. So you got some for the eyes painted. These two black stripes wrap around the trim on the beam saber handles. These two blue ones here are for the forehead and back of the head, or rear head view sensor. This triangle goes on the backpack, which you guys probably caught a glimpse of, and then these two blue stickers are for trim on the beam rifle, which I actually found a little bit disappointing because it's a master grade. It should have been a separate piece, but I guess it was a good opportunity. It's a good opportunity for you guys to go ahead and take advantage of busting out with a little bit of paint and brush. You also have a small amount of dry transfers and some peel-offs. I didn't use any of them yet because I didn't think that. Personally, I think Freedom is one of those designs that looks clean without it. It can look good with the decals on. I just haven't found a good way to configure them. But as he is now, I think he looks just fine. As far as that goes, like I said, everything else was painted. I found there's lots of areas on this kit where you can find some opportunities to highlight some extra detail and whatnot, or add details yourself. He does come with two beam saber handles. Like I said, one's here clipped on, and they more or less clip into the side skirts here. And it's one of those things where sometimes you can get them in and they stay in, and sometimes you can get in and they don't stay. It's completely random, very weird how that happens, because you're not doing really anything to change how it's on there. Right now, successfully it stayed on, but sometimes it just doesn't. Just one of the things that should be pointed out there. He also comes with the beam rifle, which I just described, if I can find the beam rifle. Oh, here we go. So beam rifle, painted trim. It's a little off blue than the rest, so you can probably tell. This part here is just added on. Just felt like that could have been added. You have a swiveling secondary handle, and it has a neat little feature where you can remove the scope piece, bring this off, and then you get some highlighted, or not even highlighted, but some molded piping and just some mechanical detail there. So that's cool. All in all, it's basically a normal strike Gundam rifle with an added shell to it for I don't know what reason, I guess to differentiate this one from all the other ones. So yeah, and then there's a peg on this side so that you can post it behind his back skirt like so. I don't normally do that, but it's one of the features that you can take advantage of with the kit. He also comes with his shield, which has good color separation. Each color that you see here is all separate. It has a cool little feature. You can take this part and switch it onto there. By default, it should be over here, I think. But in case you want to switch it over here and do some like cool peek and shoot kind of poses, which he did do in one of the episodes, then you can do that if you choose so. But I usually just keep it right there. I think that's where the default position is. I'm not sure. No, default position is over here. And it's got a lot of cool features. Gotta sneeze. Sorry about that. You can peg it onto his forearm, and I'll show you how in a second. But you also have this cool little handle here, which has 3 tabs on different sides. One up here, and then one that's already tabbed in there. And there's these slots here, which you can use to position the handle in any whichever way you want. So you can have freedom holding the shield with the peg in his forearm and him actually holding the bar, and you should usually position it down to the 4th slot. You can position it like that, or you can just have him, like I said earlier, you can just have the shield pegged into his forearm, and it can rotate in the hole that it's inside, and then you can just place this to store so that it's not in the way, and maybe you can have your freedom hold on to maybe a beam rifle, a beam saber, and have a shield on at the same time. So you've got lots of playability, but to show you guys how to put it on, you basically have to take this white cap off, and it does take a little bit of effort to do that, so because inside it's painted, so that when you take it off you get some inner frame detail. I think you take it off from the top, yeah, because there we go. Gotta use my X-Acto knife here. Come on, there you go. It's not usually that hard, it's only because I have painted some things in there, so it's a little bit harder. And so here's a tab on the bottom part here, and then there's 2 holes in the forearm. This bottom hole is slightly deeper so that it could fit the peg on the shield. So the next thing you want to do is you take this piece, take the tab and put it on the top one. And you don't have to do this if you don't feel like it, but it just makes sure that nothing is sitting around, which is good. Then you, like I said, you just peg it into the forearm, and there you have it. You can rotate it, and you've got like I said, you've got lots of playability with the shield alone. And then there you go. You can have him hold a beam saber handle in that hand if you like. The beam rifle, going back a few steps, the hands aren't those hands that have the tab in the palm with a slot in the handles of the weapons, unfortunately, but that doesn't go to say that he can't hold his weapons very well. These are the type of hands where you have a ball jointed thumb, a separate index finger, and the 3 others are molded together. No room for separation here, but they are just molded together. He can hold his rifle very well, though I find that he holds it at an angle, a slight angle. Maybe you guys caught a glimpse of that in the introduction photo, but he holds it at a very slight angle, and he holds it rather well, regardless if it's at an angle or not. Well, I didn't do it right this time, but you can get him to hold the beam rifle securely and not loose like that, but he kind of holds it in an angle kind of like that, but it's fine to me. I'll just take it out because it's a little distracting. So that's all of his accessories. Well, no, not really. I'm forgetting one major thing. He does come with his own kind of custom action stand, and it's in the same design format or the same style as his wings. You can kind of see that. See the resemblance. And that's cool. No moving parts, it's just a stand. And it pegs into his crotch there. So there you have it. That is all he comes with. Of course, he comes with 2 clear pink beams to go with the beam sabers, and you also can combine the two beam saber handles to make that extended beam saber or beam lance. I'm not sure what it's called, but you do have that feature too, and it clicks in very well. Aside from that, let's go ahead and start off with the articulation, because there are parts of this there's parts of this kit that kind of involve articulation and accessories at the same time. Just lots of features to go over, and it's already 10 minutes into the video. So articulation wise, his head is on a double joint where you have that kind of neck joint where a lot of the new high grades have. So that this is kind of how you can tell high grades are getting more design elements from master grades. So neck joint, ball joint on the at the base of the head, so you can get lots of movement there. I guess a triple joint or a double joint for the shoulders. Aside from the shoulders themselves, you can get the arms to move at the torso. You can also get, and they are separate. Of course, it'll move higher if the shield wasn't in the way. They actually can reach really high. Let me show you with this hand. And if it can go a lot higher if the head wasn't in the way. There you go. And well, since the shield is on, let's just use this. Whoops. Let's just use this hand as an example. The shoulder armor is separate. It can wiggle a little bit. It can go up a little bit. You have a bicep swivel. It's a really tight joint though. You have a double jointed elbow bend, which is really nice, and a ball jointed wrist. The design of the wrist kind of gives off the illusion that you have a wrist swivel like a lot of new master grades have, but you don't. It's just part of the design. And then I showed you guys, but once again, ball jointed thumb, separate index finger, and molded together other three fingers, if that made any sense. The body, it's pretty much just a solid piece, or the torso is pretty much just a solid piece, so you only get one ball joint here at the waist, which sounds unfortunate, but it actually does help with stability with this kit, which it really needs. You have ball jointed separate front skirts. Your side skirts and cannons they're attached onto the waist with a peg, so you can get them to wiggle a little, or not wiggle, but swivel back and forth a little bit. And there's a little bit of kind of in and out movement, but not so much. The back skirt has a cool little feature. It moves. It can go back and forth a little bit, but there's a use for that, because inside this back skirt there's a tab in here, so that when you have the back skirt pushed up against the back of the body, the torso doesn't move back as far. So it adds for stability. But if you move the back skirt, the torso can move a lot farther back. That's probably only useful in mid-air poses whenever you need it to, but most of the time you're going to want to have that this back skirt tilted up against the body to keep the body from moving any farther back because of the weight of the backpack and the wings. The legs themselves they're attached to the waist, or they're attached to the waist with just a simple ball joint. It's a very stiff ball joint, which is nice. So kick out about that far. Kick back not so far because of that big side skirt or back skirt. So kicks out about that far. Kicks out of the body a little bit farther than the side skirts can move. So there. And you also have a cool knee joint system here. So when you move the bottom set of legs, you get that armor shifting feature right there. And it's a lot easier, but you know, mine, there's some painted stuff in there, so it's a little bit stiff, but it's cool. A problem I have, and I think it's because I've painted some stuff, is that when I want to shift the legs back in, some of the panels like to split apart. I'm not sure if it's supposed to do that or not, but it's one of the things that I find to be a little bit annoying. You also have this panel back here, which covers up a thruster, so this is articulate. The ankle armor is attached into the back of the heels rather than being in the front or on the sides. So pretty much wherever you move the double jointed ankles, the ankle armor moves along with it. So it is a double ball joint, one on top here and then one on the bottom, so you get lots of wiggle and lots of movement. So up and down, and the toes themselves can go up for, I guess, kneeling type poses. And this kit does a good job of kneeling. I just don't want to waste a lot of time showing you guys. So there you have it for the body itself. Now, one of the biggest features of this kit has to be the wings. It's the most definitive feature of the Freedom, and it's also, which also doubles up as the most definitive feature of the model kit. Um, and I think the wings alone can be one of those things that answers the question, which Freedom should I get? There's high grade, there's super deformed, there's no grade, there's this guy, and then there's a bigger one. This is the one that you want to get, only because of the wings, and that's my personal opinion. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys can agree with that. Now, there are a lot of configurations that you can have the wings in. The wings have lots of mobility, lots of playability. Like I said, it's one of the most definitive things about this kit. There are so many. I'm just going to show you the basics of the wings, because anymore I'd just be taking up a lot of your time. I'd be taking up a lot of my time. But anyway, on with the wings. You have lots of different joints. You have the wings pegged into the backpack so they can go back and forth or swing left and right, if whatever you want to call it. There's a cool little kind of ratchet joint system for the wings when you want to turn them in and out. That does help a lot with stability, but you want to make sure when you move them around, you want to do them as close to the joint as possible. You don't want to grab them by the tips of these wings and rotate them, because I've noticed that if you do that, the parts here, these two halves tend to split once you do that, so you want to be mindful of that. I also find that sometimes when you wiggle this too much, it kind of unsockets itself from that joint, so you find yourself kind of pegging the wings in every once in a while. That's only if you move the wings a little too much, but you know, you're gonna have to keep an eye on that. Now the wings, there are two separate wings. The cannon is attached onto, I think they're attached onto both of them, but there are two of these separate wings. Then you also have this kind of inner wing right here. Let me just show you guys. So you open this up. Usually when you open the top, the front wings, the cannons tend to move with it. You also have the back wings, which kind of gives off the illusion that the cannons are attached to one of the other wings, but they're really just pegged into each other. But this is pretty much how it works. So the back wings are attached onto this base wing here, which has a little bit of articulation, or a lot of articulation really. Then the back wings do the same thing, kind of, and then the front wings do the same thing as the back wings. So you've got lots of playability. I gotta pull this back a little bit so you guys can see the wingspan. That is a huge wingspan right there. That's really good. So lots of different positions, lots of different configurations for the wings. But the number one thing I think fans will really appreciate about this particular model kit is the fact that, unlike the rest, you have this pose here where you want to swing the cannon, just the cannon. The wings can be a little troublesome, but whatever. So that's one of the features, right? And then all the high grades can do that, or all the other kits could do that. But the number one thing that fans appreciate about this model kit, and will appreciate about this model kit, is the fact that there's a joint here that you can use. So that way, if you want the wings out this way, I'm not even going to waste time configuring, but if you want the wings out this way and you still want the cannons pointed forward, there you go. Bandai provides you with that extra joint, so that way you can have him in your favorite Freedom Spam style pose, do whatever you want with these cannons. Lots of playability with the wings alone. So many configurations. You'll have fun with this model kit. Just try not to do it so much, because I think that constant wear and tear, or not constant wear and tear, but constant playing around with the wings and everything will have its effect on the wings. So there you go. Lots of playability with the shield, with the wings. You also have the side skirts, which I completely passed up. But anyway, it's not like you guys didn't know what they were about. So you bring out the back part, bring out the front, and then there's a little trick to this, because you want to avoid breaking it. Before you flip this out, make sure that the joint is folded and perpendicular to everything else, and then you flip this out. Because I find that if you don't do that, This tends to split in half. But anyway, even more um, to play with. So that's cool. And then there's a cool little feature here where you got a handle. And there was a handle there. I think Freedom used it at one point in the series. Can't really remember. But there you go. So fold it back. Do the opposite here. You want to do that. And there you go. Now, one of the things that I'm sure people have a problem with this model kit is the fact that he can't stand. But in fact, he can. And there are times where he'll just stand all the time. You really just have to find a positioning of the wings. Use the weight of the wings to your advantage. Make sure you distribute some weight to the front. That's kind of why I have the wings pointed at a weird angle. Well, it seems like a weird angle, but it's a really effective angle because that way you're distributing more weight to the front of the kit, and that way you're also keeping some stability overall. There we go. And you got to play around with the positioning of the legs a little bit, but once everything is all said and done, you have a standing Master Grade Freedom Gundam. And you don't need to use a stand all the time. He can still look pretty badass just standing there. He's one of those kits. Alright, so for my final thoughts, before I go on with the final thoughts, I did forget a couple things. He does have an opening cockpit hatch with a little Kira Yamato figure in there, and you do have a little bit of molded detail like some pistons, so you can go ahead and highlight those. And the articulation, I kind of forgot to show that he has a swiveling arm joint, but you guys pretty much already figured that out before. So now I can move on to my final thoughts of this particular model kit, and I absolutely love this. I'm proud of this model kit. It is one of my prized possessions of my very few master grades. But overall, the build experience was great. It was a very straightforward build with a few exceptions of intricate features like the little ratcheting joints in the wings. That was pretty cool. The knee shifting there, that's pretty cool. No little thigh movements, but within building the kit, you realize that there are parts that you could highlight, like molded detail in the inner frame, and not just intentional detail too, but like even here, like you can kind of see that there's a little bit of frame exposed, and you can use those to your advantage. Like you could use those, pretend that they're like pistons or hydraulics, and highlight those and turn them into pistons and hydraulics, even though they're just plastic pieces that weren't intentionally made to be inner frame mechanical details. So that's cool. That's the one thing I liked about this. Overall, very clean design. Articulation's great. You got all the accessories you need, and they do everything that you need them to do. Everything that Freedom fans would enjoy about this model kit. Aside from that, the articulation's great, so you can pose this guy very, very well. I did find that there are some poses that I wanted him to be in, but he didn't really look all that great, or maybe my posability expectation is a little too high at this point. But once you do get him in the pose that you like, this kit looks absolutely beast, like what you can see right now. There's no doubt that looks beast. Sorry for the shaking thing. I'm kind of just dragging the tripod on the floor. But anyway, this kit looks beast if you can get him in the pose that you really like him to, whether it's something as simple as the Freedom Spam pose or something a little bit more intricate like this kind of point and shoot, kind of more dramatic in midair pose. So that goes to show you that this kit looks beast in pretty much anything as long as you like it. So there you go. That's my review for this model kit. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys, or some of you guys who were curious, found this helpful in any way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.